Good afternoon, good morning, or good evening, wherever you are in the Hooniverse, whatever time zone or time stream you are joining us from across this world or another. It's absolutely beautiful outside. It's not too bad in here either, come to think of it, particularly when you see the squad of dedicated Doctor Who fans I'm going to bring out onto the stream in a few moments' time. Where are we? Yes, there we are. And there's me. Hello, everybody. Yes, welcome back to the Space Book with me, Dan Hadley, Birmingham's King of the Geeks and Type 40 Live, back again. Just 7 days since our big celebration of the whole TV movie, our 25 years of that Paul McGann TV movie. Last week, we had a blast talking about all that, geeking out and celebrating that feature-length special. I think you did too, because we've had lots of feedback from that show. So thank you. We're glad you enjoyed it, and we're glad you're back too. Speaking of you, let's check in with the chat and see who's here. Plenty of people. Thank you for being here, even though it's so beautiful out. Well, the thing is, you can have us on your tablet, can't you? Out on the patio, or in the garden, on the rolling lawns of wherever you may be. Even if you're regal, like Queen Charlotte here watching on YouTube. Hello, Charlotte. Vanessa Law, she's making a cup of tea, but she'll be back. I should hope so too. You're not going to want to miss this. Crimpling de Blue and back again. Ahoy, shipmates. Good to see you too. Ahoy, ahoy. And Matthew Burrows still sat on his verge with a fag on the go there. Hi, everyone. Hi, Matthew. Oh, and Retro Doc here. Gary Akers. Good morning, everybody. It's morning where you are. Yes, I'm gradually working out different time zones the more I do this. But yeah, thanks to everybody for being here, for saying hello to me and one another. Yeah, because obviously the seasons have changed. Guidelines are being sort of dropped and shifted and moved around. I don't know whether I'm coming or going or even being, to quote one particular doctor. But I'm getting there. And one thing I'm really enjoying is seeing the Doctor Who community take once more, take to the streets and the M roads and to the convention centres, even if everything's being sort of slightly measured in the post-lockdown convention world. So they're observing social distancing, but conventions and events are happening bit by bit, and they're being announced all over the country in one form or another. So that's lovely to see, because we know that you've missed one another and you've missed interacting with the stars of Doctor Who. And I'm going to do some interacting with some more Doctor Who stars right now. First of all, yes, it's my friend, of course. I think he's wilting a little bit, but he's over there in the Doctor Who loft, admiring the view by the looks of things. But here he is. It's JT.
Good afternoon. Hello, Spacebookers. What a gorgeous day it is here today. It's sweltering.
Yes, oh God. Are you suffering a little there, my friend?
I'm happy. Let's put it that way. We've come through a lot of bad weather to get to this, so long may it last.
Not suffering from exposure yet. Not that kind of exposure, anyway.
I was going to say we're back to John Barrowman, but no, God love him. We love him.
We do. So, yes, here we are back for what, last week's show was a blast, wasn't it? To talk about one dedicated piece of Doctor Who. But here we are now, digging deep into all the corners of all the Doctor Who universe across the decades. Got some great subjects to talk about today. And
good.
Yeah, who else is here? Yes, it's the original Hoonatic, raring to go as always. Welcome back, Simon Horton.
Hello. Are we live? Hello.
We are live. Yes, I'm glad that you asked me that, because I forgot to remind people that we are live. Yes, on YouTube, the world's largest streaming platform, and over on Facebook too, to the Type 40 Facebook group and the Facebook page, various other places you can catch us there. Drop us your comments, and please, hit the little like button. Hit the thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel while you're at it. It's going to be a great show. I've been forward already. I've been and checked. You can like us in advance and hit the cloister bell, so that you know whenever we go live next. That's 3 things to remember. Yeah, it is. The pressure is on. Now, this is a man who always responds well to pressure. Let's bring him in. He'll steady the ship. It's the writer, the director, and the producer, and big old mega geek Ian David Diaz. Welcome
mega
back
geeky.
here.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone. Geeky was getting a bit of a fan club, mate, here on the channel. There's a couple of messages on various other videos that we've made saying Mega Geek is on point. We agree with Mega Geek. What's going on? On a
I
roll?
don't know, but you should make the most of it, Ian, because you don't get often, do you?
Does that mean they don't agree with you and me, JT?
I think they do.
Well,
You know.
I think
We're all like-minded, aren't we?
saying hello, everybody. Hello, one another. Sadako,
Hello, everyone.
Queen Charlotte, Richard Brooks. Welcome back, Richard Brooks.
Hello, Richard.
Hello, Vanessa. Hello, Simon. And a little. Is that a flag that says "cool"?
Hey,
Cool,
is that
says
me?
something
Is that
like
me or is that Richard? That's probably Richard.
Okay, now we do. Yes, we're going to bring in YouTube Doctor Who royalty. I think he has to be the most prolific Doctor Who YouTuber there is, and he's a good friend of ours as our sort of co-host on Hard Drive, our other podcast where we do lots of sci-fi, lots of other TV shows and things like that. Our mate, the rabbi from another planet, Sfila Betkin.
Hello. How are you?
Good to have you back, my friend. We're good. Thank you. How about you?
On Facebook. I'll tell you, I'm really in the mood for a cup of tea now. Vanessa Law got me going, I got a cup of tea. And
Come on.
you see, look at
Cheers.
you. All English. I got to go upstairs and make coffee. I'm married to, and American. I really want a nice cup of Rosalie. Maybe a Jaffa cake. Ooh,
Yeah.
or a
Jaffa
cake or a hobnob selection.
Other
That's-
videos are available.
Yeah, well, I was going to say,
How
as long,
are you?
Rabbi, as long as you have a Jaffa cake and not these new ones they brought out, which are mango and grapefruit and strawberry and black currant and cherry.
What is all that about? It's a Jaffa cake's a Jaffa cake.
A Jaffa cake is a Jaffa cake!
It's the in Israel we always get the lower quality fruit because we sell the better stuff to everybody else. So if you have any Jaffa orange, we don't get them that good over here.
Oh, no.
So, what's the availability like of the McVitie's Jaffa cake where you are, Rabbi, in Israel?
Oh, zero. Absolutely. Although, my wife just found them and bought for me, and you can see I've already soiled it. They just started salt and vinegar crisp. So it's very exciting.
Whoa!
Oh, it's like Walker's, isn't it?
Friends that work at salt and vinegar crisp, all the English people were excited. So
let's keep up all this branding, and you can send it to us all via Dan Hanley at the Spacebook. He'll get it to us.
Are available.
Yeah, I was talking about conventions a moment ago, and obviously this is happening all over the world. I think that here in Great Britain, we've probably had it. Got to be careful how I say this. Harder and longer than most. But I don't know. I keep doing this. I blame you lot. So we
I didn't know it
have
was going to be that kind of show.
we have had it, but we have, haven't we? And I've been. Oh God, this is going to get even worse. And I'm very confused. I'm very confused now. But I do know that as the conventions are popping up and various fan events, it is lovely to see. I've been over onto Twitter and I've seen some beautiful pictures this week, and I wanted to bring them to your attention because I think they will warm the cockles. Well, it's pretty warm today already, isn't it?
Exactly.
They'll warm your hearts some more, and everybody watching over on YouTube is going to love this too. I mean, check these out. These are original artworks. The Doctor and the Master there.
Who drew those? Chris Chibnall?
Well,
No, that's too much writing for him, Simon.
We're going to come to that in a moment. We've got a lovely TARDIS there, sort of
That is
rippling.
Fabulous. That is fabulous, isn't it?
And all of
question
your
marks.
So nice. She liked a bit of Colin Baker.
Yay!
authentic colours for the coat as well. I think she's been through her pot of pens there and meticulously recreated Colin's coat.
That's stonking.
Iconic multi-coloured
I'd love to
coat.
send that to Colin. I wonder if he's seen it.
Well, we've got more here as well. We've got Susan and the Doctor.
Oh, we've got stripy jumper.
Martin.
The stripy jumper, brilliant.
And check out the Doctor's trousers there.
Yeah, the check.
Yeah, perfect. Yes.
Very Rupert.
Absolutely
Fabulous.
beautiful. And there's another one. There is another one.
Mel.
Mel
falls in a
falls.
Fabulous.
So
Mel
that's
falls in a trap.
Actually, that's one of the only things I'm looking forward to now on the on that Blu-ray. Seeing the tetrap spinning balls of doom.
I saw them one night on a
HD.
Saturday night in a club.
No, well, seeing them in HD.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, they're going to
Same club,
remaster.
I think.
Well, I think that's a magic moment, and the fact that it's obviously it's a very scary moment for Mel, as we can see. She's braced for the worst. It has to be said, but it recreates that moment perfectly.
Well, to be honest, it looks better than it looked in all honesty.
So you asked me, has Colin seen this? Does he know about this? What does he ever? Check this out. This is all of these artworks were presented to the stars of Doctor Who over the weekend at Phantom Events, latest events. And as you can see,
is that the little girl who dresses Jodie?
It is, and as you can see, they're all pleased as punch. There, the cast of Doctor Who. So that's full credit here to Little Who Girl over on Twitter. Go and follow her.
I have to tell you, I mean, listen. As much as I dislike the current era, she melted my grumpy heart. She's so cute. This kid, she really is, and she's like, and it's so nice seeing everybody. There's one with Sylvester McCoy playing the spoons around her and on her. It's lovely. It's really nice.
Stuff like this. This is definitely a feel-good story. This is the white pill of the week. I'm trying to include something like this every week. And it warms the cockles. It's so wholesome. And I mean, those smiles are all genuine. I keep looking at Bonnie.
Bonnie's so real, yes.
Absolutely brilliant.
I love Bonnie's outfit. It's gorgeous.
Bonnie, I'm sure she's wearing one of the Blu-ray releases. I'm sure she's wearing that and behind the sofa. And I remember thinking, "Whoa, it's kind of my vertical hold has gone a bit squiffy on that outfit."
What I like about it
is for you, isn't it? It did personified.
I think that's definitely something, Rabbi, that Mel would wear now.
Yes, yes. I tell you, I do like the way that Mel progressed in the audios. But secondly, I'm intrigued now when I see season 24? Yes, that's season 24. That if I like it more, because I like Bonnie Langford a lot more now than I did then.
Yes. What's the personal
I might like it more. I hope so.
Well, everything that I've heard her do on audio, it does seem to strike that balance between recreating Mel and doing something different with it. It's why I like her so much. And she's so full of enthusiasm. I mean, as you can see here, you can't fake that. You can't fake it. Here you are. Yes, here she is. Here's Little Who Girl and her dad. And the mighty Sylvester McCoy there at the weekend. So I've been in touch with them. We've been talking a little through Twitter, myself and her dad there. And we thought we'd bring some of these pictures to the people out there watching this stream who may not have seen this. But that's where to go. There's lots more heartwarming stuff over on Twitter. On Twitter, believe it or not, from the Little Who Girl account. I mean, look at Sylvester. He's looking well as well, isn't he? Glad to be out of lockdown, as they all are, back in cosplay. So it's happy times and places to you all there. And well done, Little Who Girl. We love your pictures. Nice work.
Doesn't Carol Ann Ford look positively radiant in that picture? How old is she? She looks about 30. What is she? I'm sure she's going backwards in time now. I can't believe how good she looks. And there are comments in the thread that I can see where people are saying we need Susan back. I agree. Why has Susan not been brought back yet?
It is a mystery.
What is Susan, though? That's the question, isn't it? What is Susan? Is she human? Is she human? Is she?
She's technically
no. You see, now you get caught into the current era. Like you, like.
No, we don't talk about the current era. No. We ignore the current.
Like in my day, like you can't bring her back because you bring.
That's what I'm saying. If you bring her back, yeah.
I mean, I have to say the Susan's War box set from Big Finish was delightful. Was absolutely delightful. That it was her and as Carol Ann Ford's age now, as like this kind of like covert agent, like negotiating deals and being kind of a secret agent during the war, during the Time War. So it's got a very like Casablanca-y feel. But she's great.
Wonderful. Yeah, I loved it. She sounded. I mean, Carol Ann Ford is the other side of 70, but you would never know the energy in her voice in that performance. We've got a question here that's a little easier to answer. This one's in from Crimpling Doubloon. Shouldn't Bonnie Langford be made a dame?
It'll happen.
I think so. I'm both hands.
Because she's done an awful lot for her industry, and she does do some charity work. And the way that they're going with the Dame Hoods and all this sort of the moment, I think it will happen at some point where Bonnie's recognised for so. I mean, she's been in show business since she was 3, So I think that and she's got through it.
She's been good for most of the time.
She was in showbiz when she was a fetus, I think.
Yes, tap dancing.
She was on Tomorrow's World
dancing.
She's gone from being that kind of ingenue to being a bit of a diva, I suppose, hasn't she? She belts out the torch songs in cabaret and things.
And I think the other thing is with Bonnie Langford, I agree with what was said earlier. She's look, the truth of it is, back in the day, she was quite irritating. She was everywhere and she was ubiquitous. And I'm sorry, but she was really, really irritating. And I hated all that Just Williams stuff. Violet Elizabeth. Oh my God.
I never saw it.
Yeah, and yet now I have to be honest. She's not Bonnie. If you're watching, you're not remotely irritating now. Thank you.
Exactly. I had the same journey. Yes.
She gave me 20 quid once. I used to work in Selfridges. I used to work in Selfridges in the toiletry department, and she bought some toiletry stuff, and they asked me if I can carry her bags to the car. So I carried her bags to her car, and she gave me 20 quid for doing it.
Lovely. We've got lots of love for both Susan and Bonnie Langford here in the chat. That's good to see here.
I mean, listen, I especially didn't like her in Doctor Who. She replaced Perry. I was like, wait, you went from like my pure vision of manly loveliness, that was like she was like Aphrodite to it, and then Perry, I liked it. I felt that, there was a lot going on up there. Not so much.
Going up there, yeah.
With Mel, I was like, I'm not so interested. I think I was genuinely miffed because, the reduction of...
Well, you like
I said a word. It really just annoyed me.
Well, as the Doctor Who companions were getting more womanly, I think we expected maybe that to continue. Some of us, and actually,
like that. That was good, JNT. Wait, what? Bonnie Langford? No.
Wanted the show to grow up without taste. Mel was adorable, says Vanessa Law. I've always liked her. And we've got a comment here from Nick Smalley, who says Bonnie came to Galaxy 4 in Sheffield once. The queue was so long it took 4 hours to get through. Blimey.
She was very popular. I remember that as well. I mean, that Saturday was mobbed, and she stayed over her time and missed her original train just so she could make sure she met all the fans that were queuing for miles and miles. I mean, I think we were both there at the same day, Nick. But I remember she was lovely. She was absolutely gorgeous.
Nick's a friend of yours, isn't he, JT?
He may have a different opinion on that.
Hi Nick, thanks for joining us again. Good to see you.
It depends what I'm saying.
He looks a little bit like Mark Maron there in the picture from Glow. That's what I'm thinking of at the moment.
I was going to say, I was just going from the little progressive companion from Perry to Mel to Ace. Ace was a brilliant move, okay? You know why? Because she was so incredibly relatable, and you could kind of imagine, being able to, have a drink with her and move on, right? So, like, she was totally in the realm of reality, right? So
I think they were trying to attract the teenagers, weren't they?
Well, it got me. It was like, I was exactly that. I was 17, 16. I was like, yeah, perfect.
Were you ever a teenager?
I still am.
We all are inside, as we say time and time again on this show. I've just finished watching all those stories, the stuff with Bonnie as well, and Sophia's Ace, and I think because it's the first time I've watched them all in sequence for a while, both characters actually are better than I remembered. I've never particularly disliked Ace, but I think I was so familiar with those stories for a while. I'd watched them so many times. I think the nuances to the way it was written and the way that and what Sophie did with it, I think I'd taken her for granted a little in the role. And this time, particularly in Ghostlight, wow, she's good in that. But I Bonnie Langford, I just think that after 140 years in the biz, she definitely deserves that credit. So fair play to her.
So am I the only one here that thinks that whole era was crap?
Yes.
No.
No, you're not. You're not.
I like it from Remembrance of the Daleks onwards, but like the era from right up and there was a marked change, right, from right up until then, from at least until Trial. I would even say Colin's first season was pretty ropey. I mean, listen, what it really was, you will watch the deteriorating relationship of John Nathan Turner and Eric Saywood play out on screen, and the quality of the show degenerated more and more and more. The more they came to say, and like by the time it hit Trial, they hated each other, right? And then he had season 24, and Andrew Cartmel came in, and that was him learning how to make TV. And as soon as he learned how to make it, bam! I think from that moment onwards, I would stack every one of those stories up.
I think that before we like they were on stage.
Before we go I find a whole other tangent. I feel that I should. This is how I feel about it. Is that what I do or do not think of the content of Doctor Who at that time, everything around it, the culture around it, the actors who were in it. Some of the material has aged better than others, as you've rightly pointed out there, Ian. It probably did need a rest. It did need work. But the people in it, I think they continue to give their best. And it was, I won't say it was a particularly exciting time to be a Doctor Who fan, but everything around it, it was very much what you made of it, I think, JT, like the comic strips, the books, all that, and even the Daypol figures. So I think that it had those little pleasures. Season 24 is out on Blu-ray. In 3 weeks, everybody, on the 21st of June, the Blu-ray range continues. I can't wait for that. I've only just watched them. I can't wait to see all that. But of course, there's been some more Blu-rays released in the last couple of days. And I understand, JT, that you have joined the annals of Blu-ray Doctor Who owners. So yes, these are coming, and they're still wrapped up.
If you want like inlay covers that have a
he's not going to open them.
I am.
I have those for you.
I am.
You are going to open them.
I was. Them. Well, yeah, because we said we would do one now. So, which one do you want? Do you want 12 or 19? Unwrapped live on the show.
My age, 19. My age.
Tom, 19. I have to say, let's start with this. I mean, because as the Facebookers will know, I didn't buy into the what were they called, Simon? The original versions,
limited edition,
the limited editions. Yeah, because I knew these were coming. The standard editions were coming, and I have to say, I am loving these. They are fantastic. I'm going to show you. That's how they look together.
They look a lot better than the limited edition ones, to be honest. They do look better because they're just so much neater. And
then, of course, you've got the Amaray box on the inside there. It's just a shame. I'm going to say it again. It's a shame it's got the damn wrong logo on the logo we all hate.
Well,
dude,
so we've got that.
I have you covered. I'm going to pull up for you in a second.
I've already got it, Rabbi. I've already got it. Don't worry.
Look at the top.
It's going to come up.
I like those.
On the top there, they've got that. Can you see that?
Yeah, that's cute. Like that.
Yeah, that's quite cute. So I actually like this. And because there's going to be 26, possibly 27 of these, it's not going to take up that much room on the shelves, which I'm whereas the bigger ones will.
Well, and
so
also,
I'm quite happy about that.
Also, one of the problems with the limited edition packaging is that the boxes really do fall apart. My season 19, the plastic tray literally fell out of the box, taking some of the card with it, and ruined the box.
They put them in tight plastic. They put them in tight plastic though when they got Amaray cases to stop them from having babies, of course, as we all know. But
I've just looked at this. So we're opening season 19, Facebookers, and on the bottom it's got bleeped strong language. Where was that? In season 19,
it must be in the commentary or something.
Commentaries or,
I see.
Must be Janet Fielding in a extra, right? Has to be.
Is that the same as the standard edition?
Yeah, very nice.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll open this. Okay, so what we've got is we've got the usual sort of format that we were all expecting here. Can we see all this? There we go. Yeah. And then we've got these.
Yeah, so the discs are identical to the limited edition. They're printed in exactly the same way as the limited edition ones.
Okay, and they've got the TARDIS on the back. Can you see that? Let's just see. I can get back. Oh, there's another one in there. There's another one. So let's have a look. Can you see that?
That TARDIS, JT. That was on the inside of the sort of fold out thing of the limited edition packaging kind of thing.
Okay, and then you've got the little book. So let's see if this is any different. I don't know if it's as thick as the original one.
It isn't as thick.
Okay.
It's apparently it's missing the blurb that has been written on the making of each story. So all you've got to see. But
so
I mean, let's be honest, you can live without it, can't you? Let's be honest.
I mean, really, has anybody ever read it?
Well, I've read it, and to be honest, all it is just regurgitated stuff from the complete history. So it's pointless.
So this is just the story rundown, and then the bonus material in the back then on that one. But I actually like that. You see that?
That's all you need.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I prefer
I love that.
It's easier to navigate.
Yeah, I have to be honest. I've now cancelled my season 24 pre-order because I'm very, very happy now to wait for them.
You go to swap? You go to swap range?
Yeah, I'm going to wait for them on standard edition, and after a while they'll come down in the various sales to £10, and I'll just wait for them. And I think
I have to say, as someone who didn't buy into the original ones, I really like these. I think they're nice, they're simple.
They're neat.
They're better. It's better packaging. 100%. It's more practical. I like it a lot better.
Imagine, and when you've got all the series like that, that's going to look very nice on a shelf.
And I have to be honest, I really think that BBC Studios are going to notice a difference in pre-orders on those limited.
Well, sure.
Let's just have a look at that as well, because I want to say to the people who put these together, I want to say a huge congratulations, because when these were announced, as we all know, they went to number 1 in the Amazon UK charts and number 2 in the Amazon UK charts. Now that is brilliant, because actually that's the 3rd time release, believe it or not, isn't it? When you think about it.
Right,
so to get to number 2 again, well done, you guys. The newly this version, the standard version of the ones coming up, which are 10 and 18, series 10 and Amazon.co.uk chart is number 1, and series 18 is number 2. Fantastic. And there's word out that there's another 2 sets coming at Christmas, or around about Christmas time, which will hopefully be 23 and 26.
Yeah.
But I mean, for a re-release, congratulations, massive sales figures, and obviously kicking the Chibnall era further into obscurity.
Out of interest, does anybody know what kind of figures the releases of modern day Who gets when because the latest series has just come out on Blu-ray, I think, hasn't it, recently?
It's in the thousands now, I think, and you can actually check. I always go to Amazon.co.uk, but it was I noticed as well that, of course, the special editions of these always go in at number 1. Always, and then they sell out very quickly. And then these have come along, and these have gone to 1 and 2 at the same time, and they're there for a few weeks, obviously, but the pre-orders come through. And these are, as you know, they're sticking around, but you don't see any of the Chibnall era in the top 10. I think one got to. I think one of the Dalek ones did get into the top 20, but don't quote me on that, because I do notice that it appears on a release day and then it disappears very quickly into oblivion. Wow. And that's that. But I reckon that the rate they're doing, if they're going to do, these are the first 2 that came out yesterday. We've got another 2 to come, and if we're getting another 2 around about Christmas, it won't be long until they're up to date with the collector's edition. And it wouldn't surprise me if you get a collector's edition and a standard version coming out at the same time.
If they do that, forget the collector's edition.
Yeah, but Jodie's the most.
No one's going to buy the collector's edition.
David Tennant, isn't he? She's the most popular Doctor since David Tennant. What are you talking about, JT?
I love the facts.
They
finally cast the right person in the part. They finally found a good actor for the part. Woo! What a relief!
I'm very sorry if you could throw it up on the screen.
I've already got it. I knew you were coming.
Look at you!
I've already prepared it. Yes. So I just think it's great that fans have now got a choice. They can go for one model or the other. And I mean, it may well be that the fact that they didn't go with this from the beginning may have an adverse effect. I don't know. I think it's too early to say. It's I mean, but you, Simon, you've been buying these since day one. You were right on that from season 12. Now you're changing your track with it. I think that probably does say a lot. He's opened season 12 as well.
Well, it makes them much easier because they just bring out season 2024, which is like, it's a little bit skippable.
Is this the same?
Well, that's what. Yeah, it's identical again, JT. Again, it's just lacking the production story background of 2 or 3, which, as I say, is just completely.
They are lovely. They are lovely for those people who are thinking of getting these, who, like me, didn't come into them originally. I would actually say, do get these now.
Yeah.
At these prices, they're lovely.
It is fair to say that every time we talk about the Blu-rays, we get several comments in the chat along the lines of this. Let's see if I can find it now. No, it's gone. But yes, several people mentioning the logo and the current house dress and that whole sort of style guide attached to the logo, which is currently used in the credits of the current Doctor Who show on TV. Which, let's face it, it's highly divisive. You know, people, there's no real grey area with this series, and the logo sort of comes with like all those associations. So yes, and the rabbi here, he has come to the rescue with this. If you get in touch with the rabbi and subscribe to his channel on YouTube, get in touch with him. He will no doubt point you in the direction of these. So these are your own creations, aren't they, Rabbi? These are your own bespoke editions.
Accurate to how the brand. I like the branding a lot. I like the design, so I kept as much as I could. But it's they fit right into those Amaray cases, and you don't have to see that awful logo.
There you go. And Lee Binding's wonderful artwork is preserved. You get to see that in all its glory. So happy new Blu-rays there, JT, and thanks for opening those with us live.
I'm going to be very busy over the next couple of weeks, I think, aren't I? Going through all that
lot on there. It takes me a good month to go through a Blu-ray release.
Well, you can tell on the back, can't you? But what I'm actually really looking for, because I said on the Spacebook a few months ago, I'd actually gone back to look at one of the DVDs, and I know I'm getting slightly older because I'm 29 now, but my eyes were getting a little shut up. My eyes were getting a bit fuzzy by watching the screen, and it's the DVD, isn't it? And you can tell the difference now because all the technology. So I'm really looking forward to seeing these beauties in a Blu-ray quality.
JT, you will be impressed with the picture quality. That's
excellent. Really,
you can see the difference in the picture quality on all of them.
And don't forget, Spacebook is coming soon over the next 5-6 years. There will be, of course, the season box sets for each Doctor, the era box sets. That's what they'll do next. They'll probably be in 4K. You heard it here first, and we're just waiting for that day when they announce that season box sets are coming. The era box sets, rather. They're coming to see you.
Absolutely terrifying. Simon, I think we need to take refuge from the idea that we may have to dip on these things again. And open the 500 year diary review with our On This Day segment for the 1st of June. So yes, here's the stinger. Are you ready, everybody? Are you ready watching? Are you ready, Simon?
Yes!
Here we go. The fast return.
Was that a flush? That was a toilet flush.
I was a bit quick.
Yes. Here we are. Where are we? And what have you got for us this week on the 1st?
Okay, so for the 1st of June, for this time, we're looking at today, 53 years ago today, in 1968, the year I was born, The Wheel in Space, episode 6 was on. Episode 6 of The Wheel in Space. Now here we go. Now, one of the things I love about The Wheel in Space is if you've seen The Wheel in Space, the end when the Cybermen appear is literally hysterically funny because they do this spacewalk, as you see they're doing in the top left corner of your screen at the moment. They do this spacewalk, and it is literally a walk through space. And it's fabulous. And you can see they've got their little arms at the side, and they do these lovely little flapping up and down movements as they bounce joyfully and serenely through space. It is the campest Cybermen you will ever see.
But you know what? If the 7 or 8 year olds were watching it, I bet they were terrified.
Oh, absolutely! Because actually, it's quite surreal. It is quite scary. Yeah. It's weird that it is. They literally just sort of float through space, doing this with their hands. Like,
we're coming to get you.
In this still, it reminds me of those Busby Berkeley movies.
Yeah,
I
get what you mean.
Old Hollywood, where they got the big sweeping sets. Sometimes they would be the size of aircraft hangars, wouldn't they? Where they would build these enormous, elaborate sets in the old musicals. So I know exactly what you mean.
I actually think it's one of those things you kind of need forewarning before you. If you've never seen Wheel in Space episodes, you kind of need forewarning. Because I remember the first time I saw it, and my jaw literally dropped. It's like nothing I've ever seen in Doctor Who, ever. But also down there on the bottom right.
Can I just say to you, Simon? I remember the first time I saw it, and it was at a Doctor Who convention. I think it was either Liverpool or Manchester. With a lot of other Doctor Who fans, and it got a round of applause. We were all like, "Wow, woo!"
Well, it is, JT, you're right. It is actually one of those moments where you do want to just applaud them. It's the most ridiculous thing you've ever seen, and it deserves a round of applause. Now, also, you can also see down there in the bottom right, tomorrow on the 2nd of June, it'll be 14 years since we got the Family of Blood in 2007. Which I don't know what everybody's thoughts are on this. My personal feeling is Human Nature, which I think is the first episode, isn't it? Is absolutely stonkingly good, and then the second one is utter rubbish.
padding.
It's rubbish. All this father of mine,
I love
mother
both
of mine.
parts. I really love both parts of it.
Yeah, so do I.
I think the ending slips out a little bit too long. But I really love it. I mean, listen, I prefer the book, but I don't know if I do. Because I just went back and started rereading some of the old Virgin books, ones I really liked. And it's just like now I'm 50, nearly 50.
Yeah.
And I'm like, now it just feels like a lot of teenagey angst. I was like, oh,
yes.
God, I'm not sure I can get through much more of this.
I know exactly what you mean. I went back to read Human Nature after it was broadcast in the year Simon's talking about now. And I couldn't, and yet I devoured it as my younger self. I just couldn't read it.
Yes.
What? So,
because I have Left-Handed Hummingbird, which is awesome.
I've never got round to reading the book. I've never bought the book. I never got round to reading, but I've always been intrigued. So you boys are saying it's not worth going for then?
It was good at
the time.
No, Simon. It is worth going for because it's part of the history, isn't it? And it's that wonderful period where the show was off air, which is very bizarre saying it, but it was a wonderful period.
We did.
It's worth going for. If you see it, get it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, there we go. So those are your two episodes for the week. We've got a couple of birthdays today, actually. Adam Garcia is 48 today, and Jonathan Pryce is 74 today. 74 for
Jonathan Pryce.
Who was Adam Garcia to Doctor Who fans?
Adam Garcia plays Alex in the Christmas Invasion. It's not an enormous part, but it's a good part. He does a good job. For me personally, he takes part in that awful moment that I still am so angry about that Russell T Davies did when he sinks Harriet Jones by whispering in Adam Garcia's ear about "Isn't she looking old?" And I still think it's one of the worst missteps that RTD ever did. But he's a good actor. And interestingly, Adam Garcia, I saw actually on stage a few years back in The Exorcist. The first
really.
Yeah, when they staged The Exorcist. I'm trying to think what he plays the part.
Was it a musical, Simon?
Exorcist musical, yes.
Yes, fabulous.
He plays Father Karras in it, which is the
I remember him when he was in Saturday Night Fever. That's a long time ago, 2007.
Like original actor.
I thought you meant the original film.
Sorry, 1997.
What was that, Ian?
I said he does look like the original actor from The Exorcist.
He does, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I see what
you're right. And I have to say, it was a brilliant version of The Exorcist. And if you ever get a chance, it premiered in Birmingham actually, and it went on tour. And obviously, COVID happened, but it was doing a tour when COVID happened. So if it comes back, I urge you to go and see. Peter Bowles was playing the Father Merrin, the older priest.
Really?
And he was stunning. But all I will tell you is this: they even do the rotating head. For anybody that's seen The Exorcist, when Reagan's head rotates, they even do the rotating head. It was a brilliant production.
Who plays Father Merrin?
Peter Bowles
from Can't imagine him playing Father Merrin.
He was brilliant. He was cracking at it.
Wow.
Yeah, played a
and there's Jonathan Pryce as well, another hardened stage expert, isn't he? A hardened thespian.
But 74. But was anybody else disappointed with The Curse of Fatal Death? I just remember it being on and just thinking, whoa. Because again, this was in the wilderness years when we didn't have Doctor Who. And I was like, really?
It was...
is this the best?
It was better than Dimensions in Time, which was just kind of painful.
Barely.
I'm not as sold. I'm about to rewatch that again and Dimensions in Time. And I've never been as sold as a lot of other people are. There's a lot of people in the Type 40 Facebook group who constantly post clips from The Curse of Fatal Death. I'm going to watch it all again and see if it wins me over because
I suppose those doctors are part of Chibnall's whole thing now, aren't they? All those nonsense doctors there.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, it was a comic relief one-off tribute. Forget it. Move on.
And it's and to me, it's everything that that Stephen Moffat did wrong, all concentrated down into 30 minutes. It's just like the worst bits of Stephen Moffat in one 30-minute sketch.
So Lenny Henry's the first Black Doctor then. Lenny Henry.
Lenny Henry, yeah.
The Lenny Henry sketch from '85 is absolutely on point. I love that.
Yeah. And Jim Broadbent is twice because Jim Broadbent played in Victoria Wood and then again for the comic relief thing.
Quite right. Joanna Lumley as well, of course. Also at 52 this week is Julie Gardner. Who obviously we've got
Julie?
to thank for bringing
Julie
back
Gardner.
I like Gardner.
Discovery of Witches. Woo!
What's she up to these days? Anybody know? I haven't got a clue.
Yeah, she runs Bad Wolf Productions, who do all these wonderful things, including the aforementioned A Discovery of Witches. If you haven't found it yet, watch it. It's bloody brilliant. It's fantastic, and you'll find Doctor Who names all through it. It's just plus the Doctor we never had, Matthew Good.
Brilliant.
And she's also behind that is His Dark Materials. Please, Julie, if you're listening, please, Bad Wolf. Please take Doctor Who. Please do something. Please save Doctor Who. Yes. What else have we got, Simon?
Also, finally, on the birthdays, David Collins would have been 81 this year, but he sadly left us last
81,
year.
was he?
He would have been 81, so he was 80 when he died, bless him. God, David Collins, what an absolute hero. I mean, for me, Robots of Death, he's up there as the pinnacle, but also Sapphire and Steel.
Mm-hmm.
When he was Silver, wow. He was a powerhouse of an actor as far as I was concerned.
Agreed.
A real, true legend. Kind of undervalued in many ways. I think he's one of those. He's just a little bit of a secret in a way. Doctor Who fans, we all know who he is, but the rest of the world, the wider world, wouldn't know who David Collins is.
Exactly.
It's such a shame because he was a sci-fi fantasy legend because he did practically every show going, didn't he?
Absolutely.
A sci-fi fantasy, and he was a very, I only met him the once, and he was a gent and signed my stuff and brilliant. But apparently he was a real trustworthy. You knew you were going to get somebody who turned up on time, know their lines, and be able to deliver a performance.
A true professional, like certain other actors who we don't necessarily rate quite so highly.
Who could that be? Matthew! Yay!
Also, a couple of sad departures to remember this week as well. Today, the great Milton Subotsky died in 1991. He was 61 when he died. Bless him. Of course. Yeah, because he wrote and produced both of the Dalek films. So we got him to thank for that. He was born in New York in 1921. He formed Amicus Productions with Max J. Rosenberg in 1964. And of course, obviously went on, as I say, to write and produce the two Dalek films in the mid-60s. And also Milton produced The House That Dripped Blood in 1971 with the great John Pertwee, of course.
Yeah.
There he is.
Dear.
She's loving whatever he's doing there. That's outrageous. We'll probably get cancelled for that picture.
So I've only just noticed that John Pertwee was in that picture.
I love that. Dan. I love The House That Dripped Blood. I actually think it's available on YouTube for free. I think you can find The House That Dripped Blood for free on YouTube. So
I don't think I've ever seen it, so I'm going to go and find it.
Yeah,
it's brilliant.
John Pertwee plays this role of an actor, an actor actually. He's just finished. He just come off having finished filming season 7. So it's between season 7 and season 8 that he did this. And he plays an actor who gets cast as a vampire and goes and finds the perfect vampire cloak. And I'll leave it to your imagination as to what happens then. But it gets camper. It gets camper than a row of tents at Butlins at Christmas. So it's a joy, and it was produced, by the great Milton Subotsky that we lost in 1991. Also this week, we've got to remember dear old Paul Darrow, who died a couple of years ago.
Big loss. Yeah.
This week, we mark the passing of Paul Darrow, 78. Great actor. Well, actually, I think he was a terrible actor, but he was wonderful to watch, if that makes sense. He was a massive star.
His acting was just like William Shatner, wasn't it? His acting's just like William Shatner's acting, where he stopped through lines and words and stuff. But he was great, though.
It's great, absolutely.
More than an actor, right? He would perform, right?
Yeah, he was definitely a performer. He was a performer. Great. And very, very finally, on this day in 1989, so 32 years ago, believe it or not.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, absolutely. Colin Baker premiered in
Yeah, The Ultimate.
Oh, let's get that up there. Let's get that up, lad.
There we go.
Is that your original flyer there,
this
Simon?
Is my original flyer. I've got my original program, the brochure that came
What is
with
this, Simon?
This was the stage show.
This was the stage play. This is the stage play.
Is his costume? Oh no, it's not.
That's the centre showing Colin in his redesigned costume.
No, that's not actually. That sorry, Simon, to interrupt. That's the TV costume, because the stage costume wasn't ready before for the photograph shoot. His stage costume was stunning, and for any of the people that were actually on the Facebook pages this week talking about that awful blue version that Bog Fanish came up with. Listen, the Ultimate Adventure one was far more superior. It had blues, it had purples, it looked toned down. It was beautiful.
Outfit.
It started.
I totally prefer his blue jacket.
Rabbi, did you ever see the Ultimate Adventure? I missed out.
Yes, I did.
I saw the Ultimate Adventure probably about 15 or 20 times. Literally, I went all over the country. All over the country to see it. I was lucky enough to see David Banks in one of his only two performances as the Doctor in Birmingham. It just happened to be there that particular night.
Listen, if that was the only time you saw it, you must have been so upset. You go to the theatre to see Doctor Who and you get David Banks. I would have been pissed off.
Well, I guess, I think I would have been cheesed off, but I was lucky because I'd already seen it with John Pertwee. Here is, we've got the John Pertwee brochure as well. Hold on, where's the John Pertwee brochure?
We have a comment here from Digby Strawbridge watching on YouTube, says, wow, this brings back such happy memories of seeing John Pertwee in the role, Wimbledon Theatre in 1989. A lot of fans got to see that. I was due to go on the afternoon that David Banks ended up taking the role. So
and you missed it. How did you miss it, Dan? Why did you not go?
The people I was going with the family I used to be friends with this guy, and his whole family were going, and they all got really, really ill. Nobody could go. And we're going back to 1989 now, but I was heartbroken at the time. Funny enough, when I heard that David, if you're watching, mate, I do apologise, but I knew no better. At the time, I didn't feel so bad knowing that I'd only missed David Banks and not missed John Pertwee. But now, of course, I hear that people say that David Banks was actually really good, and I've seen pictures of him. I was thinking,
they did a bit of a big finish. You can go ahead and try it.
Nikki, please message me about what you are putting on screen at the moment. Please send me a message on Facebook. Find me and send me a message on Facebook, please. Please.
I can always put you in touch, Nick.
Nikki says, I have a recording of The Ultimate Adventure. It's not a great recording, as you can imagine, but it's worth
I want a copy, Nikki, please.
It was
on VHS.
I was lucky enough to be at the very, very, very final performance of The Ultimate Adventure as well, down in Eastbourne. And I just saw it so many times. I loved it. I think I could probably recite the
very last one
still off from off the top. It was knockout.
It also showed the brilliance of it was so exciting going to see the shows, and I was lucky as well because I got to see both John and Colin in the show, and it was exciting to go and see them. But it just showed the brilliance of Terrance Dicks as the writer, because the two of them, Terrance, as we know, his philosophy was the Doctor is the Doctor is the Doctor, and he wrote for the Doctor.
Yes.
And John grasped hold of his bits, and then when Colin came along, all he had to do was omit a certain, take the sonic screwdriver out, put a little bit of flippancy in, because that was his Doctor. But apart from that, the script stayed exactly the same for the two players. Just genius, absolute genius.
And it also, you're right, JT, it went to show how good Terrance Dicks was at just juggling so many ridiculous elements that shouldn't have worked together. Daleks, Cybermen, musical numbers. Let's not forget there are songs in there.
For those of us for those of us who missed out, and those of us watching along now, like Vanessa here, I have absolutely no idea what the ultimate adventure is. You can sample this, as the rabbi has just.
This is a good. I mean, honestly, this is a very good recreation. It has.
Yes, it is.
It's like all the catness of it's there, and they do have the other two ones as well. They got the 7 Keys to Doomsday and the Dalek one as well.
It's lovely that they survive in some way.
The rabbi's right. This is a really good reproduction. When you listen to this Big Finish version, and I'm not a big fan of Big Finish, but when you listen to this, it is as close as you can get to being there. It's even got the songs in it. So for anybody that wasn't there, such as Vanessa, in 20 seconds, this was a stage play that, as I say, opened with John Pertwee in 1989. Then Colin Baker took over. It went across a tour across the whole of the UK. It did good business.
It did. It was popular.
It's billed on my ticket as the ultimate laser show, although they are giving 2 for 1 away at that point, so they must have been struggling a little bit. But there were lasers in, fantastic lasers. It was a brilliant spectacle. Wow, was it a show? It was a show.
And for those Facebookers that missed it, nah.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. Thanks for giving us stage envy. There'll be more of that.
I tell you what. If you this really is a blatant plug, but it's actually organic to conversation. I got some footage from the new thing, the Doctor Who immersive experience. Okay.
So I
got a bunch of footage from that I'm going to be playing, but I'm also going to be on my show. I got a stream starting in just over an hour. So I have to go relatively soon. But so I got that, but I also pulled out old footage of the Here Come the Monsters, the Doctor Who stadium show, which if you haven't seen it, freaking awesome. I just saw it via YouTube. It was, it looked so good.
If you're wondering what he means, yes, you can catch up with the Rabbi from Another Planet directly after us at 6 o'clock over on YouTube for all of that. That's more Time Fracture. We talked about Time Fracture a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, there is footage that's being sort of put about now, and people are booking themselves in for that too. But yeah, thanks for all that, Simon, for our blast back to the past. More of that next time.
Listen, can you warn me before you do that? I nearly flew up to the ceiling, for Christ's sake.
What I wanted to talk about next, it's kind of springing out of the thing about the John Pertwee movie, really, because that film, I've not seen that film, never seen it. I've heard of it, never got around to seeing it, had no idea that John was in it. So yeah, it's definitely now on the list of things that I must see. Now, earlier on, we were talking a little about conventions, how the convention circuit is opening up. Of course, so are cinemas. If you've noticed, various multiplexes now are able to bring us movies, and the smaller sort of bespoke art house cinemas as well that have been struggling so much in the last year or two. You know, they've got various lottery grants and things like that. So it's great to see the ones that have made it through. So I continue to support them where I can, obviously. But I've been looking at some films that are about to come out over the next 2 or 3 months. And what's really struck me is how many Doctor Who alumni there are, either making their own movies, starring in films, or whatever. So first of all, this week, this has just come out. This is Rare Beasts. Got to be careful how I say that. Rare Beasts. This stars. It's directed and was written by Billy Piper, arguably the original co-star of New Doctor Who. And here we are now, 16, 17 years later from recording that on the streets of Cardiff. Here she is now, basically creating this her very first movie that she's written, first-time director, and it's described, everybody, as a pitch black comedy. There are trailers and things floating around. So, yeah, it really surprised me to see her doing this. She's got a great cast attached to it, as well as David Thewlis, Kerry Fox, and Lily James, too. So I wonder if any of you have seen that, had it made your radar, and did you ever see Billy Piper becoming a director there, Ian?
No, and I saw the trailer and I was just like, what the hell is this all about? I've no interest in seeing it whatsoever. It doesn't look like a movie that I would, I would.
What is it about it? I haven't caught the trailer.
Well, it seems like she's kind of going crazy and she has a kid and she she has this boyfriend that she doesn't like, but she wants to stick by him, and it's just up your own arse.
It basically sounds like up her own arse. I was going to say, like, it's an explanation of her incredibly boring life. Yeah.
It's like how Channel 4 kind of puts Adewale up in a pedestal because he directed a couple of films, and I've seen his films. They're okay. They're not great, but yet they put him up in a pedestal thinking, oh, he's a really brilliant director. He's not. He's just mediocre. And I'm pretty sure with Billy Piper's film, it's going to be the same thing anyway. So there you go. That's just me. I am not bitter, am I?
But it's a modest film, though, isn't it, Ian? You can tell it's on a modest budget. It doesn't look particularly elaborate. It's focused. It seems very focused on her performances and on those of the cast. You know, it's not got a massive cast, but they're good people. They're reliable people in it. So I really want to see this. I thought the trailer looked how can I put this? Energetic, puzzling, yes, and it looked quite exposing as well. I'm sure that maybe it's partly autobiographical. But yeah, I was quite impressed. The hair stood up on the back of my neck watching that trailer. Really? They honestly did. Yeah. I had to go back and check because I knew that Billie Piper obviously she's since Doctor Who she's appeared in so many other good dramas, but I had no idea that she had aspirations to direct. Hi, Space Booker, says Starry-Eyed Girl watching in the chat. Just stopping by to say hello. Very busy day here with the kids. We miss you and we love you too, Sarah. Good to see you there. But you actually drew my attention into another Doctor Who alumni movie. So I heard of this a couple of years ago because, of course, in the pandemic, they've been making movies the entire time, haven't they? And putting projects together. In the run-up to lockdowns and whatever, there were several films that were ready to go that ultimately didn't get the release that they planned, or they've sat on them and they're waiting to bring them out. But this was one that also caught my eye because it's probably the first big movie to have Karen Gillan right at the dead centre of it, rather than being part of a true ensemble. This is Gunpowder Milkshake with Karen Gillan. It also stars Lena Headey, Carla Guineo, Michelle Yeoh, Angela Bassett, various other big people. And it's very much, it reminds me of John Wick, Ian, but you pointed me in the direction of this movie. Do you feel a little bit more positive about this? And isn't it great to see Karen Gillan as a formidable action hero like that?
Yes, I mean, this film looks more interesting than a Billie Piper film. Billie Piper film is definitely a film they should never have financed because it will never make any money. Probably sell to lower end countries, and Channel 4 would probably have it, but it's not going to make any impact. This is a Hollywood production. This is a Hollywood movie. They've decided to put Karen Gillan in the front. She's leading this film, which is... It makes sense because she's, big in Marvel and big in Doctor Who land. So they put her in front. And it looks quite interesting. It looks energetic. It looks like there's loads of action in it.
But it's not just that. I think she genuinely has a screen presence, and she's
she does.
With those Marvel movies that she's worked in, like those very big budget. So she knows how to do it. She knows how to act within those weird parameters, right? And I think she's a smart gamble. There's a rumor that she was going to headline the new Pirates of the Caribbean movie that we're doing. I think they're getting it. I can't remember. Something awfully predictable and boring. But
she should stay away from that, though, shouldn't she?
Yeah, she should. I'm glad, and I'm glad. But I thought that was clever casting. I think she's got a great career ahead of her, unless she gets cancelled, which could happen any time.
Absolutely. Anybody. By the same measure, we've also got Peter Capaldi, who's about to make his appearance in a comic book movie. This is The Suicide Squad, the new film from James Gunn, moving over from Marvel Studios to work with DC on The Suicide Squad. So it's they said it was going to be a reboot, didn't they, Rabbi, if you remember? But it's not a reboot. It is a sequel, really. Most of the same actors are in it, playing the same characters, but we've also got numerous other great actors, mostly Brits, that are in there. I'm really excited about this. And Peter Capaldi's playing the Thinker, who is a villain from the Marvel Universe.
DC
Universe. But a villain from the DC Universe.
Villain of the season on Flash about 2 seasons ago, I think.
Yeah.
Very different take.
This movie looks okay. It looks okay, but I don't think I'd go out my way to watch it. Do you know what I mean?
James Gunn has obviously I don't agree with him. His political views, but who gives a crap? He's delivered non-stop good movies. And this looks right exactly in his wheelhouse. Ensemble of weird, wacky characters coming together. It's probably gonna have a lot of heart with it because again, he delivers. He's delivered before. I have every confidence in him.
Well, here's hoping it's good.
It's not my cup of tea, I have to be honest. I'm really not a big fan of these kind of movies.
Not into the superhero movies that much. We've also got maybe this is staying with doctors. This is Matt Smith, who is one of the leads really in Last Night in Soho. This is the next film from Edgar Wright, the director of Baby Driver and the Cornetto trilogy, those Simon Pegg and Nick Frost starring films, and a really exciting filmmaker. Lots of soundtrack to all his films. This was filmed again prior to lockdown. This was the final film that was made by Dame Diana Rigg and Margaret Nolan, but the lead is Anna Taylor-Joy, I think the actress's name is. But this is alleged to be inspired by, funnily enough, talking about the Melton Subotsky film earlier on, inspired by British horror movies, as well as movies like Don't Look Now, the Nick Rogue film. It's I think where this may score slightly better with Doctor Who fans is it's Matt Smith in another time travel movie, everybody. So Simon, does this kind of thing, do you like Edgar Wright? Is this the kind of thing that you may lean towards?
I'm not a big fan of Edgar Wright at all, must be honest, but I would give this one a go. Of all these, this is the first one that you've shown, because Karen Gillan, I literally couldn't be less interested in Karen Gillan if I tried. But this one, this is the one that I would go and I'd take a look at. Where is it? Where are we getting to see this one? Is this in cinemas in October? Well,
that's out in October. Yeah. So we've got all three posters up on screen now. So we've got Suicide Squad. First it's Gunpowder Milkshake with Karen Gillan. That's in July 14th, and Suicide Squad is out on August the 6th with Last Night in Soho coming a little later in October. But what I like about this is that we're seeing all these actors from New Who graduate to the big screen in good character parts or taking the lead and giving interesting work. JT, we talked last week a lot, and you mentioned Daphne Ashbrook about her being part of the Doctor Who family. That's a woman who had a big career before Doctor Who, a lot of television, and has done a lot since too. We talked about it being a family. But we follow these actors, don't we, in their other projects. We like to see what they're going to do next, either in the original capacity as actors or when they spread their wings, they direct or they write. Why do you think that is?
Well, it's because through decades now, we've been introduced to actors via Doctor Who, and because we get attached to them through the series, and some of us get to meet with them on several occasions. We like to see what their body of work is, and we support them, and that's known now. It sort of goes hand in hand with the fans will come and see you to a point. I don't think it's going to continue for obvious reasons because of the series and who's in the series now. But certainly that we are very loyal as a fan base up to a point. And we will go and see people, and we always have. Look how successful John was in Wurzel Gummidge, where a lot of fans at the time tuned in for Tom when he was doing Sherlock Holmes. We go to see Louise a lot of the time at the theatre. That fondness is there because we are fans of the show. They've been in the show, and it doesn't just extend to the leads and the regulars. It extends to some of the people that come and guest star in there. So it's a nice thing to be able to do.
And what I think is interesting, JT, I remember seeing not so long ago, I saw a comment on Facebook where somebody said, what is this about Doctor Who fans that are interested in seeing Doctor Who, people who've been in Doctor Who, they're interested in watching them and other things. What is this? I don't get this at all. And I'm like, well, I actually do get this. I do like seeing people from Doctor Who in other things. I don't know why it is. Is it just I don't know. Is it curiosity?
It's like catching up with old friends, I think.
Well,
the majority of them play themselves or versions of themselves.
And certainly, I think we've all been through that little thing where something comes on television or a film or whatever that you don't know Doctor Who stories, and suddenly you recognise their face and you know them from Doctor Who. And there is that little frizz on that little moment where you think, it's from Doctor Who. And I love that. I love catching up with people from Doctor Who and other things.
It's also great for a lot of the actors. And again, I'm not speaking over to the regulars because the regulars, up to a point, know that this is going to come. But, you know, when you meet various people that have had smaller parts in the show over the decades, you know, and you see them and you go up to them and speak to them and they are delighted. I mean, I was trapped in a lift with Helen Worth once. Well, I say trapped. We were going up to the friend's apartment. It wasn't stuck or anything. And, you know, Helen Worth and I were going up in this lift and I was looking at it, as you do.
Can I just interrupt you there? Can I just interrupt you and say that Helen Worth, she's best known as she is playing Gail on Coronation Street.
Well, she's only known for playing Gail. Bless her. Sorry, Helen.
For decades now, but back in the John Pertwee era, she was in the Planet of Spiders,
and that's what makes Doctor Who fans special, because we know she was in the Planet of Spiders. And I said to her, "You're Helen Worth," and she went, "Oh God," you know, as if it's today. Oh God, this is going to be some loony from Corrie. Wrong, I was a loony from Doctor Who, and I said, "Oh my God, Planet of the Spiders. What was it? What was it like for you?" And she was just like, "Oh, the relief, the relief." Same thing happened with June Brown when I met June Brown, who was working with a friend of mine. And she was backstage at this thing, and I was looking at it thinking, oh my God, it's a legend, it's a legend. And I didn't know quite how to react to June Brown at the time. She was brilliant, and she was looking at me. This is when she was in EastEnders, obviously. Dot Cotton, huge, iconic character. And I know that the first thing she was thinking of, this is an EastEnder question. And I was like, oh my God, the Time Warrior is a classic. Warrior. And then what went on between that? She was telling me how she'd met Liz and how she was still friends with Liz all through that. She told me about John. She told me some very naughty stories. She told me a couple of bits of gossip, which I will take to my death, not from Doctor Who, but from other things. Yeah. And by God, she liked to drink. And I think that's the brilliant thing about Doctor Who, because we know these people that are in the show and they love that recognition because they're actors, and they love that support, and it makes the day.
For some people, they say that. For some people, For some people, they say that they've worked with them all. I get the impression, JT, that you've got pissed with them all.
How very dare you? No, they did. They did. I was totally on the ball with them and utterly professional.
The same thing happened with me with Nerys Hughes. I remember being in London and sitting in. I was in an editing house in the reception area, and Nerys Hughes walked in, and believe me, Nerys Hughes walked in black. Everything was black leather from head to toe. I've never seen anything like this. Black leather, skin tight black leather trousers, black leather boots, you name it. She sat in, and of course, my first thought was Kinder. And she's going to think that everybody's going to think of Liver Birds. Liver Birds. Yeah. And I was like, I loved you in Kinder. She was great. She was great.
I really think when you say this to these people, especially when they're in this unprotected spacing, I think you make their day, because it's not the thing they're expecting, and they go, oh wow, and you can see the relief from them, you know. They can
Maurice Colborne. I bumped into Maurice Colborne in BBC Pebble Mill reception, and he was in Howard's Way at the time. It was Howard's Way.
He was a big star when he was in that.
But of course, again, I was like, Lytton, it's Lytton. You know, it's great to do.
And then he had you shot by two policemen.
But you're right, JT. I think they do appreciate actually being recognised for something other than what they're always recognised for.
Ian, read that Lytton comic. Did it come out, and did anybody read it? The Lytton comic book?
It has come out, and I do have them. But yeah, that's probably a subject for another time. Ian, I wanted to ask you specifically about this, because obviously these Doctor Who graduates making their way into movies again, big films. It's a hell of a vote of confidence, isn't it, for the cast, both their ability as actors and how they've made good on being in a big hit show like Doctor Who. I want to know, which of those films are you going to go and see? Because I know that you're a tough customer to please, aren't you? Well, which of those are you going to go and see?
I've never noticed.
Out of the four trailers, I only understand two. That tells me what's going on. Right, so the Billy Piper one, no idea what's going on there. And quite frankly, I don't want to watch a TV movie, which comes across as a TV movie. Last Night in Soho, I'm pretty sure it's a good story, but it tells you nothing. Absolute frig all. Gunpowder and Milkshakes, yes, definitely see that, because I know exactly what that's about. I like a lot of action. And Suicide Squad, well, we know what that's about because they had the first one. So, do you know what I mean? But the other two, I don't understand who put those trailers together.
What you're saying, Ian, is that a particular trailer that you think sells movie actually is supposed to outline what the movie's about. This sounds a bit like Common Sense to me.
Exactly. You know what, right? The Billy Piper trailer tells you nothing about that film at all. All it tells you, it doesn't. All it tells you is that it's kind of like a TV movie, and you got TV. Well, kind of. It looks like very TV. The way it's lit and everything. And do you know what I mean? It's like, do I really want to go and see that? No.
I do know what you mean, because I watched it yesterday.
Of movies, though.
Can't remember it. Can't remember the trailer at all, but I do remember the Matt Smith trailer, and I thought that'd be interesting. And the Karen Smith one, I thought that looks cracking. So it happens. It helps that it's on Netflix. But you're right. I don't remember much of the Billy Piper trailer.
The one thing that strikes me with all of this is how incredibly different it is now to how it was through the 70s and the 80s, certainly, whereby actors in Doctor Who, namely the doctors and the companion actors, they would never stand a chance of getting the kind of roles that people get now from being Doctor Who. I mean, can you imagine Tom Baker leaves Doctor Who and is out of work for months and never
David Tennant,
incredible to think of. And when you think of the other actors that were companions and things that never got anything ever again,
mate.
And yet now.
Changed.
Yeah, it's complete, and it isn't just Doctor Who. It's television.
I saw Kat Deely in an American TV show, and she was playing a baddie. Kat Deely. She can't act. Yes, she can't act out of a paper bag. Yet she was in this American show playing a villain. In this,
maybe she should be on the next series of Doctor Who. Then
I just couldn't believe it. I was like, whose idea was to hire Kat Deely in this American show? She's awful. But anyway,
there are actors from Doctor Who that I am ashamed to say. I know they've done other things, but there are people who I have never seen them in anything else, which segues nicely into this. This is the new audiobook that's coming from Matthew Waterhouse, who is the obviously played Adric in the 1980s on Doctor Who.
It sounds like an interesting idea, but
this is brand new.
The cover, listen, every time now they put somebody of like a ethnic any type on a cover of Big Finish, they are doing it as a virtue signal. They like to say, look, we have black people. Look, we have Chinese. Like, no, they basically it's like over and over again. That's what they put on. The only they would have a minor character. If he's played by a black person, he'll go on the cover. It's just, I can't stand it. I'm so done with it.
Is it too early to say until we've read the book, until we've heard the book, though, Rabbi?
The premise sounded really interesting from what I thought, what they were talking there, what it's doing. And I think Matthew Waterhouse is a fair writer. It's probably interesting. He'll do a good job with it. Nick Briggs will do the voice of the Daleks. It's a bit long. These things are a bit like, they're like 6 hours, 8 hours long. I would listen to it as an hour thing, as a short story, maybe 2 hours. But not, ad infinitum.
Can't be asked.
I have to say that picture
beautiful.
The picture Matthew Waterhouse on the cover doesn't do him any favors at all. Though they've doctored it's his mouth. It's just not. It looks ridiculous. It's not a good rendition of Matthew Waterhouse. He looks like a woman gone wrong on it.
Well, this is.
Well, in all fairness, I think just described Matthew Waterhouse there.
Sorry,
Matthew. Don't want to be cruel, but
This is the second release in this new line of novels from Big Finish. The first one's a Pertwee Cybermen story that's out in around 3 months' time, I think. Sort of 6 or 7 disc releases. They're entirely prose.
John Culture doing it.
Enhanced.
Yeah, I'm on board. That one looks good.
And I think we had the artwork up for that on a previous show, but it's along similar lines. So it's a different style for Big Finish. I love that they're doing something different.
Whenever they're doing like anything where it's not like a full cast audio drama or not the original actor, they're doing this like painterly stuff. They're doing it with the War Doctor.
I have to be honest. I like the cover. I'm being critical of the rendition they've done of Matthew Waterhouse, but the cover looks good. And I'd listen to this. This immediately interests me. Okay, I'm sort of have to question it's written by Matthew Waterhouse, but it's piqued my curiosity, and I would give it a go. It's Nick Briggs that puts me off. I'm
I
just
don't
like,
see the point of Big Finish. What is the point?
We can't keep going over old
They
ground every
normally-
time.
No, you're right.
Recently,
Moving on.
they're good at when it's not Doctor Who. That's the thing. Listen, I have to go. I think there's a package being delivered in the next few minutes. She cried.
Well, this is time
Being
perfectly.
delivered.
Actually, Rabbi, you go and deliver what you need to.
I'll
We're
go
about to
deliver the package, darling.
We're about to go into the Type 40 ad break. But before we do, everybody, what I'd like to know from people watching out there in the chat, whether you like Big Finish or not, what I'd like to know is, I'm going to leave you with this picture because Russell T Davies, who the former showrunner of Doctor Who, let's not forget, he's been out and about this week and he's bumped into somebody on his travels and shared this picture. So this is what it is. I want you to have a think about who you think Russell T Davies has bumped into, why he shared it to the Doctor Who community, and let us know in the comments section after the break. So, yeah, here we are.
Where are you?
Are you paying too much for pay-as-you-go?
I better go.
New Mixit mixes the value of contract with the fixed bill you choose. Mixit, new from T-Mobile.
There's a challenging adventure game for use with a BBC microcomputer called Doctor Who and the Warlord, with over 250 locations in each part, and a useful save and retrieve facility to enable you to save and load your last position, and the cassette costs £7.95.
From outer space, the famous TARDIS brings Time Lord, Doctor Who, and the amazing Leela, ready to do battle against their mighty enemies, the fearful Cyberman, the giant robot, and one of the deadly Daleks. Whilst Leela covers him, the Doctor reaches the TARDIS in time and disappears to escape from the Dalek. Doctor Who, Leela, the fearful inhabitants of outer space, and the TARDIS. From Dennis Fisher. Fantastic.
Join Doctor Who on his new travels in the Doctor Who DVD files. Every disc features 2 full episodes from the Doctor's dramatic return.
I am the god of all Daleks.
To his latest adventures.
You are wonderful.
And the companion fact files show you his history, his friends, and his enemies. The Doctor Who DVD files at your newsagent now.
I want those toys.
Yes, so where were we? Hope you enjoyed the break as much as we did. So this was the picture that we left you with a couple of minutes ago. Russell T Davies sharing this on Instagram for the Doctor Who community. But who is she, and why do you think he was telling us about it? Let's have a look. Let's see who. So guys, have you got any ideas, or do you already know? There are people. Yes, we have got comments. We have got comments here in the chat. Got no idea from Rebecca. But Russell hasn't aged, has he? No, he hasn't.
Has aged.
He's looking
Yes,
really
he has.
good. I think he's looking great.
Yes, he has.
I think he looks great. What's else? Amazing hair. We have
I think that's the Leela doll that's got amazing hair. I think that's
okay.
It's very unmanageable, believe me.
I thought it was good. But yes, we do have somebody who has correctly identified Digby Strawbridge, correctly identified. It's the creepy little girl from Remembrance of the Daleks.
I would never know.
That is that's the actress Jasmine Breaks at the time, who apparently now works on Strictly Come Dancing in one capacity or another. I'm not entirely sure how, but she appears at events signing pictures as we have her there. And I was wondering, because I've always wondered what happened to some of the child actors from Doctor Who. I mean, obviously people like Helen Worth, we know where they are, we know what they're doing. But people like this who are just in it, particularly when they were really, really young, we don't necessarily ever see what becomes of them. And I thought this was just so nice to see her there with Russell Simon.
And it ties in.
Wasn't she awful in Remembrance of the Daleks?
She was great. Oh, she was wonderful. I thought she was wonderful. But
I think this ties in. I think this ties in beautifully to what you were saying before about what is it with Doctor Who fans. We've got to remember Russell is a Doctor Who fan, and seeing Jasmine there, recognizing Jasmine, taking that picture of her and making her day. It goes back to what we were talking about before the break.
Yeah, I wouldn't have recognised her. I have to be honest. I mean, now I can't even see it now. She really doesn't look anything like
how old is she now then?
Well, I guess she's about 12 in 88. Is she? She looks about 12 to me.
She's in her 30s now, surely. Late 30s, early 40s?
I was going to ask you guys how old she was when she was originally in it, because I genuinely don't know. I mean, I thought she was really good. I thought she was really, really good in the role. So, you know, it's one of those more memorable of the child turns I think we've had in the show. I mean, compared to the little girl who played Stella in the directly previous story in Dragonfire. I know she's probably slightly.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, but there's a success of these child characters who've been in the show. Yeah, we're still missing the rabbi there, but yeah, plenty of people in the chat. It seems.
Was the little girl that played Amy when she was small?
She's good.
Yeah, she's been in a couple of short films with
it's her. Hold on,
Jamie.
Isn't it Karen Gillan's niece or?
Yes, it's her
cousin.
Yeah,
something like that.
I saw her in a short film with the guy who plays Jamie. What's his name? I can't remember his name now.
Fraser Hines.
Fraser Hines. I saw her in a short film. It's all right, actually. She's quite a good actress.
I think she's
hopefully
a good
she'll get a break. Yeah, hopefully she'll get a break.
Yeah, or she will return to the role of the creepy little girl, but now a creepy woman, maybe for Big Finish in some episode of Countermeasures later on. I'd be all up for that. I'm here. Rabbi, please come back, because I am here with three people who admittedly aren't the biggest fans of Big Finish. But our next story, I'm afraid, does start with Big Finish, guys. So,
hold on, I've got a booklet.
Sorry, Ian, but yes, I consider this to be incredibly important. I do consider Big Finish to be an important part of Doctor Who at the moment going forward. But last week, okay, so what happened? What happened last week? Yes, obviously the main range, the Big Finish main range that started in 1999. That wrapped up not long ago with release 275. It's going to be a massive shake-up for the range. Let's be fair. Let's give them credit where it's due. They've kept that range going through thick and thin. And now they've wrapped it up, and they're talking about what's coming next in 2022. So the idea is that all the classic Doctors will each have their own range of individual box sets, and they're going to be spread out over an entire year. Now, of course, this being Big Finish, they give the opportunity to pre-order them in bulk, in blocks of sort of 6 or 12,
sure they do,
or whatever. Of course they do. They're going to make it easy, because it's their business model. And if people don't buy them, then they haven't got a fucking business, you know. So I can't blame them for that. But yeah, so that's what they're doing. They're rolling all this stuff out. But what really interests me, I think, out of everything, but we haven't heard many details of it. But what we have heard is one specific line, which is geared around the second Doctor. So we had this image, the Second Doctor Adventures, and a title. The title is Doctor Who, the Second Doctor Adventures Beyond War Games, everybody.
That looks like Doc Cotton.
No, she's much nicer.
That's not a good picture.
Yeah. So this is what Nick Briggs said. Is this
them going after that legendary lost fan nonsense about the Series 6B tosh?
Okay, well,
let's all know to that answer. It's absolutely fine.
Okay, this is a real opening up of our various Doctor's adventures, said Nick Briggs. They all have their own individual series, just as it should be. And for those listeners used to purchasing a yearly subscription to our old monthly adventures, I'm particularly excited about what we'll be doing with the first, second, and third Doctor adventures, aiming to take them into brand new territory, whilst also giving them a fully era authentic feel. So it's a fine balance that they've got to strike. And they are trying to give the people who are loyal to their brand, yes, none of you guys are subscribers, I know, but they are trying to give value and to to think of ways that they can tell new stories with these characters that they know we love. Now,
Doctor Who.
What I was wondering, of course, is a couple of weeks ago we had Time Fracture, didn't we, with the Immersive event, and we had all those actors voicing the Doctors, most of which were the actual Doctors, but in the midst of that, we've got the second Doctor being voiced by, in this case, by David Troughton, Patrick Troughton's son. So I was wondering, do we think that Michael Troughton, sorry, do we think that Michael Troughton, that work on Time Fracture could have led into these box sets, or maybe the other way around? It seems a bit of a coincidence to me. What do you think the likelihood, Simon, of Michael Troughton?
I think it's probably likely to be the other way around, because let's be honest, Big Finish are just desperately trying to find what to do next. You know, they just want to keep churning out these stories, and it's a miracle that they haven't got to Series 6B before now. And you know, to their credit, okay, you know, Series 6B is fertile ground for them to explore. Just to sort of fill in for anybody that doesn't quite know what Series 6B is. This is kind of the proposed season, the missing season in inverted commas, that came at the end of the War Games. Well, before the Doctor is sent down to Earth as the third Doctor in exile, between the end of the War Games and that, there is this missing space where the Doctor, and I think the theory goes that it could be Jamie, but for some reason Zoe never seems to get mentioned.
It's just fan allegation wish list. It's bloody nonsense.
It was a way to explain the two Doctors, right? However, interesting enough, Big Finish did another story with the meddling monk and the second Doctor, where he hypnotized Zoe into thinking she wanted to go off and study graphology, explaining why she wasn't there in this thing, and that wasn't a series 6B.
I've never felt. I must be honest. I've never really felt personally the need for a Series 6B to explain the two Doctors. There's absolutely no
whatever.
reason.
Exactly. It's Doctor Who. He's older. We understand.
But I do understand. I do understand that. Yeah. Okay. Theoretically, if you wanted to, and why wouldn't you? Why shouldn't you? If you wanted to, you could slot in this period between the end of the War Games and the beginning of Spearhead from Space, when the second Doctor goes off and does this stuff with the Time Lords. If you wanted to. For me personally, it doesn't quite work, for the simple fact that the War Games ends very, very definitely with the second Doctor being regenerated into the third Doctor and going to Earth. So I can't quite see, for me personally, where it fits in. I don't feel the need, but I really don't have a problem.
Well, you know, you can
tell some good
stories. Or does it? Because Terence Dicks, he didn't think that it necessarily didn't. He wrote the War Games.
What, he didn't think what Dan, that it fitted in?
Well, yeah, how Terence Dicks looks at it. I mean, obviously, when it was conceived, obviously, it was the final Patrick Troughton story in 1969. Yes. John Pertwee was coming. I think there was around 6 months in between Series 6 and Season 7 of Doctor Who, sorry. So there's a bit of a gap there, but they knew what was coming next. But we don't ever see the Doctor physically regenerating, do we, in those final moments of the War Games, Rabbi? So,
right, exactly. And
creatively.
You could do it. You could play it like, what was that bit in Flash Gordon where he's executed, right? And then everybody thinks he's dead, and then he wakes up in Princess Urla's shuttle to be her love slave. What a terrible fate! What a terrible fate!
I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with a Series 6B at all. If you can tell some good stories with the second Doctor, and you kind of
can you tell us?
Yeah, but he's dead. Patrick Troughton is dead. You can't do stories with it. This is one of the problems. The many problems with Bog Fanish. They have to tie everything up. It's just utter nonsense. Real nonsense.
I mean, Michael, can you tell a story without having to insist that women are a maligned underclass that you must champion by making everybody in it female? I mean, can they tell a story without doing that? Because currently, not so much. Let me tell you, I'm reaching a point where I'm stuck. The things are coming out that I haven't bought because every week. I mean, there are still a few things out there, but like the last Third Doctor box set, two perfectly good stories, but one had a female sergeant in, which totally should have been Sergeant Benton, and would have been a much better story had it been Sergeant Benton. And you just had this female sergeant. You're like, it's 1970. Like, what's like that? That was a bit unusual at the time. Yeah. And then the second story, they go to a planet where everyone is women, right? And like, okay. I understand. They think that like women had they have Wendy Craig in it, and they have a big thing about how she had to have a pseudonym to write in the 70s because she was a female. Fine, okay, I get that. Why do we have to make crap Doctor Who now? What's the connection? Leave me alone. Leave me alone with your
I have always. I mean, firstly, I think that I think I'm more generous in my belief in Big Finish than most of you here. And my feeling about it is that they have got a business model to sustain. They've got this license. They've got this audience. If I've got a criticism of them, it's kind of, as you were saying, Rabbi, it's that there is so much material coming so thick and so fast that it's hard to maintain that feeling of prestige and of event when the next event is in around 5 or 6 days' time.
Again, they managed to thin out the water for me by alienating me from buying off the Ranges. It does make it a lot easier. Well,
the way I look at it is, I am not. Everybody knows I'm not a fan of Big Finish, but to clarify, I don't have any problem at all in them actually doing what they're doing. And if people want to buy this stuff, as Dan says, it is a business model. I can't blame them for just churning out stuff. If people are going to keep buying it, fine, of course they're going to churn out because they want to make money. And so I don't have a problem with that. I just choose not to buy into it. And at the end of the day, we're all given that choice. It's not like the license fee that we are forced to buy. I don't buy into Big Finish. That's fine. If you want to keep churning out stories, fine, let them do it. I don't have a problem with it.
I think the writings are on the wall for them, quite frankly. Because they've oversaturated the market. There's way too much product out there now.
I agree.
And they've
I
made
understand
themselves
it when people
miserable.
start talking about what is it, Paul McGann's Big Finish stuff and stuff like that. I'm like, no, there was only one movie where Paul McGann was the Doctor. That's it for me. That's it for me.
No,
you know what I mean? No, I don't want to know.
Ian, I think what we've got to accept, though, for those of us who did buy them and did listen to them, but they were that evocative, and it felt like that much of an era. It isn't people being it isn't people being deliberately obtuse or trying to exclude you from a conversation.
No.
Genuinely, what it is for a majority of the people is that experiencing those releases and buying them, particularly on the monthly back when they started, and even now with the box sets, I believe, is that you do feel like you're experiencing an era being created and something moving forward, and stories that kind of matter and characters that grow. And so you latch onto it in the same way, JT. And, I don't know about you, because I know you used to buy them too, JT, how I feel about some of those releases. And even stuff like Susan's War that the Rabbi was mentioning earlier on. If I close my eyes, they've been so full experiences, I can almost imagine that I watched them.
Everything gets stale.
But hold on. Like I said before, does it actually matter? Nobody's forcing any of us to buy.
I'll tell you why it matters.
Hold on.
I'll tell you exactly why it matters.
No, just a sec. Nobody's forcing us to buy this stuff. They are purely Big Finish are a business. They're making stuff. They're flogging it. That's great. Let's not forget the other part of all of this, which is, if nothing else, it's giving a lot of work to actors who wouldn't otherwise be able to do stuff. It's bringing work and money to actors that we love. Janet Fielding, Sarah Sutton, Peter Davison, Tom Baker, Louise Jameson. Louise Jameson calls it her sort of pension fund. Fair enough. I don't have a problem with that.
I love actors. I love these actors.
If Big Finish is Louise Jameson's... Hold on. If Louise Jameson... Big Finish is Louise Jameson's pension fund... Brilliant! I'm made up for her, and I just don't have to buy them. Where's the problem?
No one's asking you to. No, the reason it matters is that I have bought them all, right, and I've invested in them, and I've enjoyed them, and I would like to continue that. However, I think the age we live in, people feel real need if you're if you believe you're on the right side of history, I think it's the best way, to preach like relentlessly with your work. And they've kept it out of a lot of things. And I there's some people who are good at it and can get away with it, but like it's just a bit overpowering right now with them. And again, I'm just out. I'm out. The monthly rate just degenerated over the last 2 years into this like awful pat. It was so bad, right? And it was
well, that's because they want to kiss ass and stay in with Chibnall in the production office in Wales. It's very questionable. If you're talking about business models, that's not a good business model to suck up to the one who's going to give you the license. The whole thing about Bog Fanish, though, is I don't care what anybody says. It's just an offshoot. It's not the proper Doctor Who that we're supposed to know. You've also got the Target novels, which are based on the series. You've got the Virgin novels. That's a series in itself, Dan. You're talking about feeling part of an era. Yeah. There's the Virgin novels. You've got the BBC books. You've got the BBC Eighth Doctor, the Passport. The Bog Fanish CDs are exactly the same as the books. And the once brilliant Doctor Who magazine comic strip, which is an incredible journey of itself. I believe now it's been axed. But that was an incredible, the longest running character comic strip based on one character. And that was, if you look at it from 79 to, I don't know, I stopped at the 40th edition up with the 12th Doctor, but that was one continual thing with its own thing. Bog Fanish is exactly the same sort of thing, and if you want to buy into it, that's great, that's brilliant. But God, I mean, I actually picked up the latest edition of Doctor Who magazine because I was bored in Tesco one morning. I put it back. And all it was Bog Fanish. Do your own bloody magazine then. What is going on? They can't even publicize the TV show or the brilliance of the previous TV show. They have to do these stupid bloody CDs, which have taken a monopoly, and nobody else can actually. And we now know as well that some of the fans are even getting the BBC knocking on the door saying, please stop it off with your creativity in your own audios, because that's not allowed anymore. No, that's happened, yeah. It's not full. It's not right. For me, it doesn't sit right. And there's other issues which I won't go into on a live stream about why I don't like Bog Fanish. But there we go. And I just think it's terrible. And give some more monopoly to competitors in a market who might be able to do
I think that's
the things and not want to be all this fan nonsense of having to tie it up.
Right.
Unarguably be a good thing.
What does Bog Fanish mean? I never heard the term before.
I refuse to say the name of the business, so I've changed it to Bog Fanish.
Oh, what? Okay, can I ask you some follow-up? Why do you refuse? Like, what have they done to what?
I can't. I'm not going to discuss that on a live stream.
Oh, okay. Finally, you pull the piece of the puzzle together for me. Okay, that I now get.
I will stick with these lovely things now. Well done, BBC. There we go. And not often you say me well done, BBC.
I just listened to was it the 2000 AD adaptation of Halo Jones by Penguin? That was really good. I'm surprised.
I remember that.
I'm gonna. They've got 4 other ones. They got a Judge Dredd. They got 2 Judge Dredd. They got the single Brink, and they got this other thing called Slain. Which I have to go. I just got a notification from Facebook that I have the stream in 20 minutes. I'm gonna make.
I was wondering how they. I mean, we're talking about competition. Thanks for joining us, Rabbi. I do appreciate it, particularly with your.
Thank you for having me. Always a pleasure.
With all the audio that I know.
Join me later. You just come on. You're more than welcome.
I'll drop in to see you later on. Yeah, I was wondering. Yeah, I mean, we're talking about competition there. See you later, Rabbi. Thanks for joining us, mate. Rabbi from Another Planet, 6:00 on YouTube. Sign up for Sfila Betkin on YouTube. But yeah, what I was wondering, we were talking there about having a stranglehold on a marketplace there.
Huge. Yeah.
And the Rabbi was talking about those 2000 AD releases. I think they're with Audible. So competition is out there. And
not for Doctor Who.
There are what's that company? Spiteful Puppet is another company that Barnaby Eaton-Jones, he's involved with that. I think Gary Russell works on those as well. They do Robin of Sherwood and various other dramas, sort of cult-ish audio drama. So it is opening up. And I was just reading when I was looking up to see what Michael Troughton was doing now, obviously the actor who I believe will be playing the second Doctor for them in these new stories. It turns out that he actually works for Audible, produces audio drama himself. Mm. So I was wondering if anybody had heard any of this other content. The Rabbi clearly has, how it compared to Big Finish. Obviously, there's fan stuff coming through as well. There was a regrettable thing with a fan production quite recently. It was a little bit more complex than that. The reason why the BBC shut it down it was at the end of the day, it was a script that they owned. It wasn't a fan. Audio,
right. That's slightly different. I am worried though that they will go down the Star Wars route.
It's not the only one. It's not the only one, JT. So you are quite right to level that at them.
Yeah. Because what's happened with Star Wars and Star Trek, whereas once upon a time you had George Lucas say, "Everybody do everything you want because I might hire you eventually," and then with Star Trek, Paramount were very, very supportive towards their fan base once upon a time. And then I noticed that these things were both happening with the new people that have taken over those epics. No, you're not allowed to. And I thought, I wonder when the BBC studios are going to go down that route, because they've copied everything else that's gone on from these American businesses. And then when I saw this coming through on Twitter, I thought, hang on a sec. Here we go. This is what's happening. But what gets me about this is that there are so many wonderful characters within the Doctor Who universe, some of whom are owned by their authors. And they don't get a say necessarily on how the characters are developed or used at Bog Fanish. And I disagree with that. That's one of the many things I think, well, hang on a minute. No, if you've got a particular character and that is your character you've originated for a TV series over 20, 30, 40 years ago, you have the rights to that and you should have a say in that. And you should be able to say, right, okay, I want to do such and such or such and such. Hi, TARDIS time. But that doesn't seem to happen.
It's. I mean, this isn't where I envisioned this conversation would go, quite honestly. But I do. I'm listening to what you're saying, and obviously people have experiences that I haven't. I'm somebody who listens to their content. I don't listen to as much as the rabbi does, but I do. I buy as much as I can. I buy as much as I can. I feel like physically have the time and the energy to listen to, Simon. If you know what I mean.
And the money.
And the money, yeah. But what's always interested me, you mentioned it earlier on, Simon, season 6B. This has always fascinated me. The idea that there's this time where the second Doctor was roaming around the universe, because the two Doctors, when I was a kid, when I first watched it, I knew it didn't feel quite right. That there he was, seemingly completely in the employ of the Time Lords. He's going out on missions for the Time Lords. It's very clearly an older second Doctor. Not only that, but everything else around it too. It's like this is from a time that we just didn't see. And Terrance Dicks, he was so excited about the idea that he actually wrote, I think, 3 stories. If you include the comics, the Save Yourself story there. We're looking at an illustration here from the Target book. That was Terrance Dicks' very last published Doctor Who work. In fact, I think it was published shortly after he died as part of the Target storybook called Save Yourself. That takes place during series season 6B. But so did World Game, which is his sequel novel to the War Games. So, and I believe there was a couple of other stories that he told in this period as well. So the idea being that the Doctor was working for the Celestial Intervention Agency, and that it's knitted together really quite, not only convincingly as much as it can be, but it seems like there's point to it and there's a certain credibility to it and something else that can be done with the second Doctor in the way that, I know he played it for a number of episodes, Troughton, because they made more then, didn't they, in the average year. But I think that in the way that the John Pertwee era and the Tom Baker era have got they've got a couple of divides. So they do flow organically, but you can also sort of separate them into phases almost. I think this as a second phase of the second Doctor's era. I just think it's quite an interesting idea.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm obviously alone.
No. I think it is a good idea. I've never, as I say, quite bought the whole 3 Doctors connection. The 2 Doctors connection, because I just never felt the need to explain it in such a way. But you are correct in that the 2 Doctors feels odd and feels awkward because, of course, it's coming from a time supposedly before the Time Lords were even mentioned. The name had not even been uttered at the time that the second Doctor was on the screen, until obviously the last episode of the War Games. And so it feels a little bit out of place. It feels odd. It feels awkward. It feels shoehorned in. I think that is one of the problems with the 2 Doctors, much as I like it, is that it needed to fit. It needed to be made to feel that it was fitting in better organically within the second Doctor's timeline. But one thing that I used to like about those old BBC novels, and this is why for me personally, I would be far more interested in this kind of stuff if it was written as novels than it is as Big Finish stuff. I'd be far more interested in reading a novel than I am listening to a Big Finish audio. And I used to like the way the BBC books used to slot them in. They used to put on the back of the BBC book, this story fits between Image of the Fendal and the Sunmakers or whatever it was. And I used to like that. They used to go to the effort of actually fitting them in. And so I like that idea. The OCD part of me likes them fitting in the correct space. And so that's why I don't have a problem with the Series 6B at all. If you can tell, and I'm not talking about Big Finish, I'm talking about generically, if one can tell some really cracking stories about the Second Doctor, and you do it by fitting them into this series, this season 6B, great, go for it. But as I say, for me, I'd be really interested in novels. I would like to go back to those old BBC kind of novels like this one, World Game by Terrance Dicks.
Maybe
I'd like to go back to that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that the Terrance Dicks sort of really did get behind the idea and contribute to it and set it up and kind of keep it running, I do like that. Apparently, I've never read World Game, but apparently it literally walks you from the end of the War Games right the way through to the new setup, whereby the Doctor has the remote control that we see him use for the TARDIS in the Two Doctors and all those kinds of things. And yes, of course, is it fan wank when it's been on the telly? I don't think it necessarily is, but of course, as you're quite right, JT, you can take it or leave it. So I think it's there for you if you want it.
It can be on the television as well, because if you look at the nonsense that's churned out now, that's just purely a misguided fan that happens to be in charge of a British classic who's just living out his boyhood fantasies. That is nonsense.
Well, you're right, JT.
I think you've made me right.
Because I don't think I'd ever see anything that Terrance Dicks wrote as fan wank, because he wasn't.
Well, he wasn't a fan.
He wasn't a fan. He
was doing his job.
Yeah, he did exactly. He was a TV professional doing his job, and that's the crucial difference. Yeah. But why do we? I'm trying to work out. I have a bit of a dichotomy going on in my head, because where do we work out that? Why are we? Okay, we're hanging Chibnall because we don't think he writes well. But at what point? Russell T Davies was a fan.
Russell and Moffat did the same thing, though. They had their elements of, why would you bring back the Great Intelligence, for crying out loud? I mean, not one of the birds. Why would you bring back the Master? All these little kisses to the past that we talked about last week as well, within the Davies and the Moffat. But the thing is, as well, is that with somebody like Bog Fanish, they are fans who are purely built on a fan business, and well done for them for doing it. I've often acknowledged that. They've made a successful business out of it over 20 years. Well done, you. But they have this necessity, as fans do, to go, wow, mind blow, let's tie everything up. And that's
I agree. The problem is then you lose track of writing good stories, and you write good fan stories. Good, questionably good, but they are fan stories. Whereas somebody like Terrance Dicks never wrote a fan story. No. He wrote a good story. And then he was very, very clever. He was such a superb writer. He was then able to fit it all together. I mean, if anybody's read The Eight Doctors, which was the first BBC book, and if you haven't, go and get it, because it's a work of absolute genius, and it shows Terrance Dicks at the top of his game. And technically, you could call that fan wank, but it's not, because it's Terrance Dicks, and it's just really, really well written.
But also, don't forget with The Eight Doctors, it was launched in the BBC Adventures books. You know, their version of New Adventures, and he was actually told this has to do this, all the tip boxing exercises.
Give the shopping list again.
Yeah, and like with Five Doctors, he pulls it off, and then takes the money at the end of the week and goes and has a drink.
In the way that Robert Holmes couldn't. Robert Holmes could never manage to pull off a tick list.
I mean, that's the beauty of the old series as well, isn't it? Up until possibly, bless him, JNT comes in, because he's the one that starts to pay attention to the fans and listening to them. But we won't go into that because we've dealt with it before. But previously, because the series was so young as well, and we have look at it now. I mean, look, the series was young then. Yeah. You know, up until series 18, it was only a teenager. It was a young show. Yeah. Nobody had grown up with it until Davison came along. Really, nobody had really seen it as a child, because they were all in their teens or young men and women. So all they were doing was their job. They weren't playing to an audience, because the audience wasn't really established there. The danger is now is that you can do exactly what we're seeing with television today. And Ian, as a scriptwriter and an industry professional as well, you might understand that you can't really necessarily play to too much of a niche audience, especially with cult niche audience.
Yeah,
well, yes. That's where we'll leave that for now. I think Doctor Who, the Second Doctor Adventures, is out.
Interesting discussion, everybody. Woo, it's like loose women here. Except sensible.
The first of these releases coming in July of 2022. I'll definitely be on board for this one. Providing I wonder if they will cast Michael Troughton or Fraser Hines or whoever. But no, I'm still really, really interested by this whole time. But that's coming next July. Further announcements are coming from Big Finish soon, I would imagine, about what the other releases are going to be called and who's going to be in them. Looking back at the classic show, though, I think let's look at something a little less contentious. The Invasion of Time, everybody. The Invasion of Time. Woo-hoo! So I saw this the other day, and I haven't even got a name for whoever did this, but we're used to seeing the Invasion of Time, the classic Doctor Who story here. So we got this still here from the Invasion of Time. So Simon, remind us, where are we at this point?
Well,
school, I think.
Metaphorically or literally.
Yes,
the Invasion of Time, of course, it's a story from 1978, and we're at this moment in time. Looking at this photo, we're in the hospital. I can't remember the name of the hospital that they shot in, but so much of it's shot in a hospital, and the reason being it's shot in a hospital, it was going to be filmed in the studio, but at this time, it was at the time that everybody was always striking at the BBC, and so sure enough, there was a strike at the BBC. They lost their studio allocation, and so they had to go out on location to shoot it. Blake Seven, believe it or not, got the allocation over Doctor Who that particular year. And so they went out on location, and it's terrible. Much as I love the Invasion of Time, the location filming is just ridiculous because it looks clearly what it is, a disused hospital.
Well, that's not the answer that I thought I was going to get. Where are we? As much as that is fascinating information, don't get me wrong, but where are we in the fiction?
It's the TARDIS.
Sorry, we're in the TARDIS. Yeah, this is all set inside the TARDIS. They filmed all the TARDIS interiors, including the console room on location in the hospital.
That's why the lighting's so bad as well. And of course, the 1996 movie based itself on the interiors on this show.
and this is why it all looks so ridiculous, because it's clearly not the interior of the TARDIS. It's clearly a disused hospital.
I do have fun,
isn't it? That's the thing. Believe it or not, Ian, people do think this looks ridiculous. Do you think it looks ridiculous?
Of course it does. Why didn't they just invest in flats or something like that? And like they did when Doctor Who first came out, all they had was flats with the.
It was the end of the season, mate, and they didn't actually film it in London, so it would have cost them to take too many things up. I believe the myth was.
It doesn't cost much to get some flats, does it? And put them up and make the TARDIS.
If you think this looks ridiculous, Ian, I've got some good news for you, because somebody has been tinkering. Somebody's been doing a George Lucas. So
really?
To this.
There we go.
So this looks so ridiculous.
Well, it looks less ridiculous, that's for sure.
I like that better, actually.
So that back wall is great.
They've kept the period features. They've gone in there and they've augmented, I think, Ian.
Yeah.
seriously though, I don't look. This goes to prove that I think my theory is right. BBC hated Doctor Who. They hated it, right? Who on earth would give the command for them to go to a hospital and pretend that's the TARDIS? What idiot would give that command?
Well, it was either that or not put anything on the air.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
As I said,
they were being resourceful with the budgets they've got.
No, but hold on. Yeah. I mean, when they made the first Doctor with William Hartnell, the studio for the TARDIS was just 4 flats with the roundels in it. That's all it was. Do you know what I mean? Why couldn't they build that in there? Why couldn't they have done that?
The problem with the Invasion of Time is it requires them to go miles and miles and miles through the TARDIS, so they were kind of stuck by the story. This is the problem. And to be fair, as a 12-year-old, I absolutely loved the Invasion of Time.
Yeah, me too.
I still love it, as ridiculous as it is. I still love it.
I'm a fan, right? But when they present me with bad Doctor Who, I refuse to be yes, that was great because it's Doctor Who. No, it wasn't great. That was not great.
It's not great, but you know, when you're watching it back then, I was 7 or 8 years old for that one. It was just another Saturday tea time show. You know, it was 1977. No, 78 I think by this point, wasn't it? And it was just a case of like, it was just you're having your fish and chips or whatever it was, your fish fingers, and you were watching it, and it was just escapism. It was pure. Now we go back as fans, as older fans as well, and we analyze every single detail.
Absolutely.
When we should actually be looking at what was going on behind the scenes.
When I saw that, I think I was 15 when I saw that, and even I could see that was a bad idea. You know what I mean? It was a terrible idea.
But then again, the Invasion of Time was the story that gave us the legendary TARDIS swimming pool, which is which has been running through ever since, and you know, last mentioned and last suggested in Matt Smith's debut in the 11th Hour.
The thing is, what's interesting with that image that you just flashed up there, Dan, what is interesting is, on the one hand, obviously that looks better with some roundels in the background. And so part of me is tempted to say, oh yeah, I hope the BBC see that so that when they release this season 15, they augment this with... But the problem, one of the main problems with all of that footage is that because it's shot on film rather than video, that is also what makes it not look like the TARDIS. So even if you augmented it with some roundels with CGI, it still is going to look like film, and so mentally you're still struggling to make that leap to believe. That's the problem. It's a lack of belief that it genuinely is the inside of the TARDIS, and a few roundels unfortunately probably won't do that.
I'm going to stand up for the Invasion of Time now, because it does build onto this mythos that the TARDIS, the interior of the TARDIS, is endless. It's in eternity. It can look like it wants to. The Doctor is eccentric, so therefore the TARDIS will reflect his character. Yes, I did say he. Get on with it. However, compare the Invasion of Time to two situations where the TARDIS corridors were shown in more recent days, which were absolutely dire. You saw them in The Doctor's Wife. You saw them in Journey to the Centre of the TARDIS, and there was suggestion in one of the latter ones of 2013, which were just the same sets they've been using for every other thing, just painted in a couple of red round things. They were awful. I was embarrassed by those things. They should have invested in the rondelled walls in that.
I was startled that they went with that in the 21st century in such an expensive show. I have to admit that,
Yeah, well, so Invasion of Time for me wins head over those story.
Who wants
go down?
They didn't want to go down that route, do they? I mean, with Russell T and Moffat, they didn't want to go with the roundels and stuff like that. They just, I don't know. I don't understand.
The suggestions there, isn't it? In the Russell T Davis area, the suggestion of roundels were there, but they've mixed it in with the hexagons, which were actually in previous stories in the classic days. So, and then of course they forgot about them they were in Matt Smith's first one. Just huge. It reminded me of the Pertwee era. and then you've got the Matt Smith into Capaldi one where they forgot about them. Fans went, oh, hang on a minute, there's something missing, and suddenly they appear again.
Yeah.
Let's look at some more pretty pictures, shall we? While we're on
there we go.
Let's look at some more pretty pictures while we're on a roll. Yeah, I'm a big fan. Daily follower, in fact, of Clayton Hickman, former editor of Doctor Who magazine, and he's a writer and he's an artist. But he keeps going into these Doctor Who pictures from times past, mostly from the 60s, let's be honest, and having a tinker and getting the paint box out and recolouring them and bringing to light fresh details. So this is one of the things he looked at recently. There's something every day from Clayton Hickman. I can't keep up, but this was something that I felt was genuinely different. So he shared this. So this is a genuine, authentic negative from the story. I think it's from Power of the Daleks.
It looks like Power of the Daleks, yes.
Yeah. So it's from Power of the Daleks. So you can see the scratches on that. It's seen better days, I think. He's gone in and recolored it, and in the process of doing so, he's uncovered something towards the back. This is what he's done. There we are. So that is what he's done to this.
What's the blobby thing then?
You've got that was the original, and that's the new one. But what he was so enamored with that he felt that he had to do this with this quite innocuous little still is the miniature Dalek towards the back. It's like a Dalek incubator with its own miniature skirt and miniature rim. And I just thought, I'm with Clayton. I think that's really, really cute. And it's a detail I've never noticed before, Simon.
It's almost like the Century 21 Dalek Emperor, isn't it? With the large circular domed head. Except that's got 3 balls. How intriguing! I'm really fascinated by that now. So
it could be an incubator.
Photo we've got of it then.
Yeah. I'd never seen it before.
Well, I've never seen it before either. So I like Digby's suggestion there. It could be an incubator. That would tie in with what was some of the threads in Power of the Daleks.
Yeah, it would, and the controls and also the sort of Meccano style uprights with the holes in. That's very Power of the Daleks. I'm assuming this is inside the space. Well, it is inside the Dalek station. Power of the Daleks. So I'm guessing it is Power of the Daleks without a doubt. I'm very intrigued by that. I love that little whatever it is at the back. That's great.
Like
why has nobody ever mentioned this in the past? Ever?
Why have we never seen it either? I mean, I mean, we had I thought we had the telesnaps in the magazines completed years ago, but this is definitely new.
There's always someone that has something in it. Discovered. Yeah.
I'm assuming it's not even in the script or anything like that because nobody has ever even mentioned anything to do with
I can't even remember if it's in John Peel's novelization.
I don't think it is.
I can't remember
what he did.
I was convinced that 1 or 2 or even 3 of you would say, no, I've seen that before loads of times. It's no revelation to me. Yeah, lots of people saying the incubator.
You know, it's lovely though when we're surprised because when we're getting as long down the path as we are, and we've been around for so long, when something surprises you, you do get that sort of fanboy thrill again, or fan person thrill.
You know, it's like Peter Jackson. He took all his World War II footage. And he made it look like, and it was in 3D, put it out in a cinema. So you know they can do technology. They take all those film and they make it look like it's shot today, and they colorize it, and and everything looks, and they juck the speed as well, so it looks like it was shot today. So just imagine, right, when those effects get cheaper and cheaper, or the technology gets stronger and stronger, they'll go back to Doctor Who. I know I'm all for it. I'm all for correcting the effects in Doctor Who.
And then they'll sell it as again.
Yeah, and taking the 4.3 and blowing it up to 69 or whatever, and the technology.
I didn't think you'd want that. That's
oh god, yeah. A lot of fans, they go, oh yeah, that'd be really horrible. We want to see it in its pure format. I'm like, bollocks. I want to see it the way it should have looked today. If Hartnell was alive today, I want to see good effects, and stuff like that. So one day they are going to do it. They definitely are going to do it. And people are just going to buy it. It's going to come off the shelf. Like
Simon's you've been saying that for a few years as well, haven't you?
Absolutely, totally agree with Ian. Totally believe it. It will happen at some point.
I can't even see those things you see on a phone or an iPad, which are those 3D photographs. So I wouldn't be interested at all because I'm sick just looking at those things. No, scroll on.
But JT, I'm not talking about it being 3D. I'm talking about it being 2D and looking like it was shot today. Do you know what I mean? Because they can do it now.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw that film that Pete Jackson. Pete Jackson's coming out with this one with the Beatles, where it was like behind the scenes of the Beatles, where they shot on 16mm, and he's taken all that footage and he's made it look like it was shot on 35. The technology they've got today, it's amazing. Yeah. Saw the clips of it, absolutely amazing behind the scenes.
That's a forthcoming film.
Yeah, it's a forthcoming film, the Beatles, and as I'm saying, so just imagine going back to Doctor Who. It could be anything. It could be video. It could be film. That'd be amazing, won't it?
That's interesting from Talons there, isn't it? Eagle Moss have done a scoop Dalek, apparently from Power of the Daleks, which is holding a Khalid mutant in a scoop arm, which could be used in conjunction. Yeah, that could be interesting.
I've definitely seen that one.
Do you know, that reminds me of the Dapol box set with the Daleks, where one of them had a mutant on it as well, which was supposed to come from some sort of machine as well in the old Dapol days.
I believe that you showed a picture, Dan, a long time ago, and it was the episode before Patrick Troughton becomes John Pertwee when he was on trial, and had a picture where that was on top of the and he made this picture where it was on top, and Patrick was down there, and the people that was talking to him was up there. And you know what? They're going to do that one day. You know they're going to do it one day. I would be first in line to buy it.
Yeah, I remember saying at the time, I want to see that episode because it really looked phenomenal.
Beautifully enhanced, I think, in the same way that they did when they remastered and tuned up the original series of Star Trek.
Yeah.
I loved all that. I thought they'd done a good job there. But thanks for that, Talons of Wayne Chiangler. Now you've mentioned it, I know there was definitely a prop like that, but I haven't seen Eagle Moss. I haven't seen the Eagle Moss take on it. I always like to wrap up with some pretty pictures, don't I? Yes, so thank you, everybody, for joining us in the chat. We've had lots and lots of messages, lots of people watching, lots of conversation, as always. And we will be back again soon. But in the meantime, you might want to check out all the other live streams in this series. So we've got 2 full seasons of Type 40 Live, various conversations, a couple of hours chewing the fat just like this. More fan art, more discussion, lots more friends and voices on all of those. You can find the playlist over on the Facebook channel and the Type 40 Doctor Who podcast itself. Another episode coming very, very soon. But you can check out all of the previous episodes over on the Type 40 feed, type40.podbean.com, over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Google Play, everywhere else that you get your podcasts. You can find all of that. More here on the Facebook channel, on YouTube. And if you want to get in touch with us, we're over on Instagram and Twitter at the Spacebook. That's where you can get in touch with me. And yes, email. I'm stumbling over all this today. Or email us, type40doctorwho@gmail.com. There we have it. Thanks to everybody for watching, for your time this afternoon. Going to go out in the sun, everybody, or is it something nice in the oven that you're waiting to get your lips around, get your gams
both
around?
Don't forget to sub, everybody. Sub
chocolate, everybody.
Please.
Yes, we've had no Lord Thoth today, reminding us of that. But yes, please like the video if you've enjoyed yourself. You don't get this on Radio Free Scaro, do you? Deep dives on Doctor Who.
Never heard of them.
Yes, so if you've enjoyed it, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the cloister bell for the next time that we go live. You're not going to want to miss it. You can catch some of the other content on the channel too. Lots more geeky entertainment, geeky conversation here on the Spacebook. But for now, for this time's Type 40 Live, that wraps us up. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.